What's up, Four Corners? It's Hot Mic Night. Albert Velarde, Stephen Parks, and we got a very special guest in here tonight, my lovely wife, Kristen Velarde. And, we've been talking about this hot mic for some time, and we've had a lot of people asking a lot of questions of different things. How did this start? How do you guys figure out what equipment to use, whatnot? So we're going to bring that to you tonight. It's probably going to be a shorter hot mic than we've had in the past, but so my lovely wife, Kristen's going to be firing away these questions. We have no clue what they are, so it should be quite interesting. And don't forget to check us out on our new YouTube page. That's at Desert Sports Live. That's YouTube at Desert Sports Live.
And subscribe.
That's right. Get on there, subscribe. We really need you all to subscribe on that. That'd be amazing. And then check out our new Facebook as well. We sent that out. It's got the navy blue and the red Desert Sports Live logo. That's the new business page we're sending out. Please go on there and follow us. And, man, it's going to be fun. We're ready to go.
Yep, here we go. Corey's going to get us all on the screen. Look at that. And here's our special guest host, Kristen Velarde. Say hi, Kristen. Tell us all about yourself. We've got some questions for you.
Oh, no. This is a question to the men of this show, not to me. The guys have no idea what we're about to ask. There have been from fans. They have been from community members that have asked questions of Desert Sports Live ever since we started. So we figured, hey, why not just do a show? I'm going to flip the script, and I'm going to ask you guys the questions this time. Have a little bit of fun and get to know who you guys are, how you guys became about, and how you guys are rocking out on this show, DSL, in the DSL den here.
We're extremely nervous.
I'm not at all.
Oh, no, we're not.
It's
He
just
might be used to
this is just another Tuesday to me.
It's all right. Well, we got a lot of questions to ask, so we're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, we're going to go ahead and start with you, Stephen, if you don't mind. Put you on the hot seat.
How come I get to go first?
Because I set it up that way, Stephen.
All right, so question number one. You are the production guy. Walk us through a typical setup and how long it takes you to dial the equipment in.
Oh,
hey, no wasting time. Right into it.
You know what?
Right into
I know we're going right into the detail,
going right
and Kristen just got to experience some of that production setup. So, just for this hot mic alone, I set everything up last night. I had it ready to go, and we have workout in here in the afternoon. So once workout was over, I shifted it all over. I would probably say each setup, like a general figure, it's probably between 2 to 3 hours to get everything set up, not including getting to everything packed, ready to go, getting it in the truck, taking it wherever we need to go if we have to go on the road or go somewhere. And everybody that works with us here at DSL knows that I'm pretty OCD about the equipment and how it's set up and everything. So, but yeah, it's probably, I would say it's between 2 to 3 hours, and that includes all the setup, running all the cables, wires, the sound and everything, and then running a sound check like we just did right before we came on air. We ran a sound check to make sure everything's good. So yeah, I'd probably say 2 to 3 hours. Albert, you can help me out if there's anything.
You're saying that's every single time.
Yes,
that you
that's
guys do. So you guys
every.
break it down and then reset up every time.
So for instance, like when we go to do. Well, when we went to Ricketts to set up, or we go to the baseball field, or we go to the football field to set up, I'm giving you the general 2 to 3 hours. It's probably a few more hours than that. Like, so when we go to, because I want to get there early, because I'm responsible for making sure everything's set up and in the right position. Then once that's done, then we got to pull it up, test it. So when we go to do Aztec baseball, that's going to be we've done Aztec baseball, but I have a whole different way of setting up this year. So to get that center field camera and everything else like that. So I will probably be there probably 4 hours before any teams or anybody are even scheduled to show up, so that I have time to get things set up on the fence, cameras set up, center field camera up. And don't get me wrong, Albert helps me, like he's up there running cables and doing all that, but I've got to get all those cameras set right where they need to be and
everything
dialed in and tested, and
So what he's saying to all of you adults is I get to do the what work. That's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, I let Albert help me a little bit, but no, it takes hours. It's hours, and that doesn't include. And I know I'm talking about production, and I know you probably get to Albert, but he does a lot of the stats and all that stuff. But I mean, just to prepare for a game, I would say we have no less than 20 hours if we're lucky of prep time, packing, getting there, unloading, setting up. For instance, we did Yaffle this last year at Yaffle. We showed up at 6:30 in the morning, or no, 5:30. Was it 5:30, Corey? I think 5:30 in the morning we got to the Yaffle field. Nobody was there, and we started getting set up. We ended up at the Hutch that night. And when we came out of the building, there was nobody there. All the lights were off and all the gates were locked. So we were there from 5:30 and we were leaving at 10. So if that gives you any idea, like that's a day for us.
How many hours you guys actually put in?
Yeah, I mean the Scorpion Invite was 16-hour days, and of course that was broadcasting a lot of those. But I mean, we had to get there. We still had to get there early to set up and test stuff. Sorry,
4 hours Wednesday night. 16-hour days for the next 3 days. So
yeah, so
that's a lot. And actually, it was a longer than that the last day because we broke down.
Yeah,
We had to climb up on the scaffold of death on the by
the scoreboard.
by the scoreboard at Ricketts. But so that was another probably 2 hours on top of when the game got over. So I mean, that Saturday was probably easily 17-and-a-half-hour day for all of us.
And all this stuff is running on internet connection, right? So you guys don't always have an internet connection to run your broadcasting. How does that work for you guys?
Well, you want to take that one, Albert?
Well, it's still in Steven's realm, but I mean, we have just a number of ways. We have a hot spot that we run through. That thing's just become just about as useless as anything else these days because the service is terrible. If you bring it into a stadium, you got all 100 or 300 people or however many people are there on their cell phones the entire time. So that runs down your internet connection. So you get to see these guys kind of lose it when that happens. That was tough. That was our first year. That's what we ran almost everything off of was a hot spot.
Yeah, an AT&T hotspot.
Yep. And then insert Starlink was a savior.
Yeah, and even at that, like we bought some software that actually bonds the networks together. So we use Starlink, AT&T, Verizon. Like we can bond those together to try to give us a better signal and able to keep our stream alive. And boy, have we run into some situations. I don't know what questions you have yet, but we had a real experience in Pewaukee, but. Yeah, it's a lot of, and that's another thing when I say it takes hours. We might have to go to a site and actually the day before and just test just our internet connections, like our Starlink, our AT&T, see which one has the most upload speeds to make sure we're doing things correctly, which doesn't always work either because we went down to Carlsbad, had great upload speeds, and then in the evening at about 5 o'clock when they were playing in the last game of the night, and everybody hit that tower with their phones in that stadium, they cut the speeds. I mean, we had almost 30 megabytes of upload speed, and we went down to like 3, and it just absolutely destroyed us. Yeah, so, yeah.
All right. Well, moving on to Albert, and I apologize if I intermix Albert and Dominic. I know him as Dominic because his family all calls him Dominic. His dad is Albert, so everybody in the family always calls him Dominic. So vice versa, if I say Dominic, I am talking about Albert. So
there you go.
Just to put that out there. How did you get started with DSL? How did DSL start?
I came into the broadcasting world with Richard Rubeled, part of me who I was the general manager for the his semi-pro football team, the Roughnecks at the time. He wanted to bring broadcasting in. He asked me about it. I said, absolutely, let's give it a shot. Brought in Justin Johnson, the big guy, and him and I traveled around with the Roughnecks for 2 years going, and I realized at that time that is absolutely something that I wanted to do. And then, of course, I broadcasted on the radio with Wally for a number of years. I started with, what was that Christian channel? My mind just went blank.
I know.
It was 88.9.
Vertical, thank you. Yep, Corey's spot on. So Vertical, I worked with Vertical for about 4 or 5 years doing the Connie Mack World Series, and then their game of the week, and was going through my head, and then I jumped on with Wally, and Wally did a lot of stuff for me, especially at Fort Lewis. We got to have a lot of fun out there at Fort Lewis when I broadcasted football and basketball up there. That was a great time, and then brought Steven on board, and Steven and I rocked out with Wally on 92.5 pretty much the whole time we were there. So, shout out to Wally taking us to some fun places, some fun games. And just when it came time to it, I knew I wanted to do something different, and I appreciated everything everybody did for me. And so, as you know, I bought a little rink-a-dink camera on Black Friday after Thanksgiving, and a little mixer and two headsets, one for me and Steven, and we got our teeth cut in Yaffle, and it was history from there. We went in from Yaffle, that turned into Isaac Gamboa, the athletic director up at Farmington High School, got us reeled in with Pedro Vista. Is where we really cut our teeth, was with PV baseball. Of course, our dear and close friend Stacy Wesper was a huge monumental part in that, and was instrumental in bringing us into Pedro Vista baseball. And then the next year was football, and insert Renee and her company in Kitty Camp, and she believed enough in myself and Steven and what we were doing with this, that she jumped on board, and we wouldn't be where we're at without Renee.
100%.
I mean, 1,000%. We are where we're at right now because of Renee Hutchins and Kitty Camp, without a doubt. And then of course, April and Shelly Yates, they've rocked with us ever since we've had this. And so with Four Roses T-shirts, so those were the two really top sponsors that we had, and then of course, if you're kind of digging into that, myself and Steven, and obviously you being my wife, we've invested 98% of all the equipment that we have out of our own pocket. So it really is a labor of love. And we had a lot of fun. I'll never forget, we were doing our Yaffle game the first time.
Yeah.
And the dadgum camera kept sliding over because the
tripod.
The darn tripod we had.
Weren't you guys in the back of a truck?
No, that one
No.
we were inside
Okay.
the booth, but
Yeah.
the camera, we were trying to broadcast, and Albert would try to move the camera.
It was
That
so
pretty
funny. A
interesting.
good play would be going, and then the camera would lean over.
We've come a long way, Albert.
And I think just after that, insert Steven and Corey and CR digging into the equipment aspect of the things. And I know we kind of went off a little bit on that, but that was a labor of love, because nobody's getting paid for any of this. I mean, truth be told, we don't get paid one penny of doing what we're doing. Those 16, 17-hour days we spent out at Ricketts Park, we did that on we took a vacation on our own away from our jobs to go broadcast those games. And, we just love it with all of our heart and soul. I guess you have to if you're not making any money and you're still showing up to do this stuff. But, the hours that Steven and Corey and CR put in on these cameras, and the screens that you guys get to see, and it's not as easy as flipping on an internet connection. That's one of the things I wanted to bring up when Steven was talking about that. That's like boiling water for whatever dinner you're fixing to make. It's just the first thing you do in that sense. Having the internet connection was important, but what was most important were these three guys, and you can't see the other two over here, but CR and Corey are here, are the late nights that these three guys just were up till midnight or whatever, cross-wiring, and okay, that didn't work. Let's try it. Let's put that over here and see if it, and I mean, it was wild. I know these guys could talk a lot more about it, but that was really how everything got started. And it was an absolute disaster sometimes. And when you know you have a disaster, you can kind of see it on our faces, or you can hear it on our voice, because things go sideways, and sometimes we have a whole crew so they can get it fixed and they're rocking and rolling. Sure. Or sometimes we just got Steven and I, because it's the middle of the week, the boys are working, we took vacation and we're there. But the real main reason we're at with the quality that we're at here is 100% all Steven and Corey and CR, because man, they really dug in.
Well,
So you guys are taking some of my questions away. So
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
I'm going to divert.
See, Albert, that's why I stopped.
So you guys did touch on a lot of stuff right there. So I just want to go back to a lot of misconceptions, and a lot of things have been put out in the public that you guys are making big dollars. You guys are getting sponsorships all over the place. You guys are not actually paid to do this. Is that correct?
I can talk.
It's probably
a little bit
the
to
easiest
that.
way to say it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to. This is kind of a subject that I want to be gentle, or I don't want to feel like I'm coming off in a bad way. But yes, like when we did the PV the Scorpion invite, we very, very, very much appreciate. I mean, we got so much good feedback, like so many compliments, and so much. It felt like a turning point for us as far as just where we're at as a business and as where we're at just personally with it. And I'm trying to see how I can explain this, but we actually had people when we said it in a couple of the games that we weren't getting paid, that actually could not believe. And I talked to a person, as a matter of fact, just today, that could not believe that we're not getting paid. And this person told me that they went to our website and they looked at the product we were putting out, never seen it before, and said, I don't understand how you're not getting paid. And honestly, I mean, I'm just gonna be 100% honest. When we've tried to charge, the number one thing we hear, like when we tried to charge for ticket prices or whatever, at one point we tried to charge, the number one thing we heard from people was, why are you charging?
Yeah,
It's
why
a
are you
relevant
trying to
question.
make
And
money?
Yeah.
why are you, it honestly, it bothered both of us.
It's not
Because
like you guys want to.
yeah, and we would love more than anything to have enough sponsors to do everything that we do. And honestly, like Albert said, it's a labor of love. Like we do a lot of it just because we just want to do it, and we really love doing it for the kids. It makes them feel important. It's a big deal to them. Like people think, I think you're right. We get told all the time, there was a recent situation where some people put out misinformation about us, and we're telling people that we were making money and we were just all about making a profit, and said a lot of things that really hurt us, like took a shot at us. And we didn't feel that was right. And so, that might be one of the reasons we want to do something like this, to inform everybody that we do what we do because we love doing it. Eventually, yes, we would like to be able to make some money. And when we say make money, we're talking just to break even, just to help cover costs. Like that would be nice for us. We don't even cover our costs. Right. And we do have a lot of people that support us, and they encourage us, and we appreciate all of that. Like, I don't know, maybe you can help me out
And
here,
you guys
Albert.
are not doing it for the money. You do it for the
No,
community.
absolutely
You do it
not.
for the kids.
I
You do it
mean-
for the grandparents that are texting in.
When you
Yes,
talk about, the money, Bloomfield Booster Club helped us out in some travels, which was amazing on their part. Of course, Renee Hutchins at Kitty Camp was a big part of that too. But it really only goes so far when you're traveling, hours upon hours away, and you're bringing a crew of 4 to try to get everything
Oh,
set
trust
up.
me, I've
And
seen these guys eat. I know how much budget it takes for that. Just so you
and then we had Pedro Vista Baseball, and they were instrumental in what we were doing too, and we were grateful for that. And I think it's just more so that to try to not make it too cheesy and let's move on from it, is just the fact that no, we haven't made a profit even for a moment in this, only because
We have gotten sponsors.
that's right.
But we have not made a profit.
Right.
We've gotten enough money to help cover some expenses.
in specific sports
yes,
seasons
for different
but
things.
not 100% every season.
Yeah,
But
so I
anyhow,
don't-
And you guys are
Yeah.
not paid employees by the schools. You guys are
No.
volunteers that are just there.
well, we are employees of the school.
Well,
We had to
yeah.
go through the background check and all of that, but no, we're not.
Yeah.
We're
Paid
not paid. So
employees.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's move on.
Okay. I know that's a sensitive subject.
That's a
lot of
touchy one, yeah.
misinformation,
Let's move it.
so.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to lighten things up now. I want to know who's the bigger diva between the two of you.
That's not even close. This guy over here.
No way.
It just depends. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it diva. I think we both react in different ways to different things. And, the broadcasting part of it, we're not crisp and we're not clear and you hear me talk about that all the time, what we're trying to clean up. If something goes down with production, Steven's going to be a diva about it. I wouldn't call it a diva. I would call it that, situations arise and he reacts to it differently in some ways, and I've just learned to shut up and let him work through that and keep it moving.
Here's my thing. Albert's he's my fashion consultant. That's why I say he's the bigger diva. He's the one that he's got my, I mean, you see
Well,
it
if
all
you
the
know
time.
him,
like,
he's always very well dressed.
yes,
He's
and that's what I was
very
saying.
well
Like,
put together.
I never wore flat bill caps in my life until Albert said, "Man, you look like a ball player in that cap," and so now I wear them. So, see, like,
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So, yeah, we have fun with that one, but yeah, we both. It depends on what you're talking about,
So
who's the bigger.
production-wise, you're the bigger
Yeah,
diva.
that definitely.
Broadcasting-wise, you guys stay in your lanes, right?
That's right.
All right. So, Steven, question for you. How do you choose what equipment to buy?
Corey.
Good one. Good question. Corey, step up.
Corey and CRM
No,
on this one.
honestly, like when we first started, it was like, okay, we have this camera, that's great, and then we get in a different situation, and it's like, oh man, we need a different piece of equipment for this situation. Now we're I would say, and you might correct me, but I would say now we're pretty dialed in with the equipment that we have and what we need, and there are still like some wish list items that I would like to get, but
There's always a wish list.
but that being said,
always
like
bigger and better.
Corey's done, he's the research guy. Like he'll look through the equipment and he'll say, man, this looks like the PTZ cameras, like for instance, we got the Nearstream cameras for doing softball and baseball, and that was Corey and CR that looked all that stuff up, and then we just kind of milled through that. The PTZ cameras, which stands for pan, tilt, zoom, we use those because we're such a small operation. So we can operate multiple cameras from one little remote station, and that, but that's what I'm saying. Like that's how that's kind of a team effort, I would say, between Corey, CR, and myself. We need this, or we need to find a way to do this. And then everybody kind of just figures it out. Like, the mag mounts for the fences to put cameras on was huge for us, instead of trying to set up a tripod and get it close to the fence for baseball or whatever. Now we can put it right on the fence, just stuff like that. For doing this, we decided to get mics so that it looks more professional. It looks more like a podcast, and so we researched that and got those things. But yeah, I would say that getting the equipment is a team effort, and it's a lot of research. That's just more time. We were talking about time earlier. Just you have to put the time in to decide what you want to get for what you need. And I know I don't know if you mentioned it, but like we work with Panther Vision and we work with FHS Live, and those are the kids things over at Farmington and PV, and they use some of the similar equipment that we use. We have some of the same things, but they have the way they use their cameras and stuff is different because they have multiple kids to run cameras and things like that. So they have more standalone cameras.
More like an army of kids for Panther
Yes,
Vision.
they
And
They're like
Well, Haley
20 to
does a great
25.
job.
yeah,
Really,
she
I would
does.
say.
They do
has
a
built a
fantastic
program
job.
over there. She has.
So yeah. So anyway, that's kind of a team effort.
Well, if you guys have ever seen their production too on these cameras, they are legit. They got, I mean, even in football, you guys have got the replay.
Yes.
I mean, who does that in?
Nobody does.
I mean,
Desert
it's
Sports
just like
Live does.
You guys are unbelievable with your production. The outfield camera on the baseball tournament was incredible.
Yeah.
We got a lot of grandparents and parents saying,
Oh, yeah.
this is amazing." So,
Well,
your
and
guys'
on top of
production
that
is
too is the other thing Stephen didn't mention is we're 2 to 4 deep in our equipment. For instance, CR and I we all go down to Carlsbad, and it was the first time we bought the mag mounts for a camera, and I don't think CR and I climbed up that fence, the backstop, to put it up. 4 pitches later, or 4 hitters later, J.W. Bayless hits a rocket of a foul ball and smacks that camera right off there. I mean, so there goes one down. We show up later on in the season to Aztec, and one of the kids there hit a foul ball, and we were almost at the very top and we were like, how on earth? But you have to, if your cameras go down, you have nothing from us. I mean, we could do
You
the
have to be prepared.
audio, but yeah, so sometimes he comes to us, as you know, and says, hey, we need to buy a couple of these extra, and you're like, dang, but you got to do it because those situations happen. We were in Phoenix, and CR had to jump up on top of this big old pole right in front of the
backstop?
No, the scoreboard.
Oh.
And the jackery fell off with the camera. I mean, there's just the jackery is one of these mobile
Little battery packs.
battery packs. but it fell off and it crushed the camera. So I mean, there's just stuff like that that always come up. Surprisingly, your headsets that all these broadcasters wear, those things aren't cheap. You're talking, as you know, $200 to $300 a pop. Well, those cords go out. So what do? You got to replace them, and you never know when that cord's going to go out. I mean, one time I think Stephen and I bought 3 headsets in the matter of 2 months because those cords kept going out.
We call it our 1 is none, 2 is 1. We have to have backup.
So there's that. I just wanted to kind of go into that a little bit as well.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on for that. We're going to start with you, Albert. What's your go-to move when things go off the rails during a live moment? And what do you do to signal the other person? You guys have to maintain your professionalism, so how does that work?
I'll tell you, I never really have to worry about that. Where I go, my move is keeping the big guy calm and settled in because, but here's, we laugh about it, but here's the situation. When you're showing up 4 to 5 hours the day before a game, or if day of game, the whole gang's showing up 2 to 3 hours ahead before the game even starts, and usually it's 3.5 hours typically, we're dialing everything in. We're testing. Everything's ready to go. We're zooming in the cameras. If I got to run back out to the outfield, that's what I do while these guys are taking care of all that. And the flip side of that is everything's dialed in, and then 10 minutes later you go live and it goes wacko. That's pretty frustrating,
Well,
So,
like the Bloomfield game,
Yeah.
our center field camera went out. Like it was working great for 2 hours ahead of that game, and then the game starts, and boom, the battery died or something.
Yeah.
And so and that's what I'm saying. Like we have backup ways of setting up the cameras to where we can just switch it. But here I go. I run all the way out there and I get the battery, get it all back up and running, run all the way back, and I'm trying not to breathe heavy. And Albert's broadcasting the whole time. So we seem to manage it pretty well when something comes up.
we got it dialed in.
So how do you guys, like when you guys are in the middle of a broadcast, how do you prevent from talking over each other? Is it just years of working with each other, or how do you choose who's going to say what when?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't think we do.
Yeah, I think typically your normal setup, if you listen to anybody on the radio, really, and other places, is we broadcast completely different because I want the people that I'm broadcasting with to have a voice and to show their knowledge of the game, and I think that's what's important. Not to mention you're watching it live on a video, so why should I cut him off while he goes into something he may be explaining quite in depth? Well, you're still able to watch the game, but you're still able to hear what he says, and in some other instances where you broadcast, that's not the case. You have your play-by-play and your color guy, and don't dare step outside of that. So I think that's what makes us unique in baseball and softball, is because Steven and I kind of just play off of each other in different innings. Maybe there's a big play that happens, and then Steven gets excited, so I stop so he can finish that, and then he'll run that into the next hitter, and it's just platonic. It's just really smooth. In football, it's a lot more normal. It's a lot more professional, where I'm strictly play-by-play. When the play's over and I tell you what down in yardage, I shut up, and then it's Steven, and then he paints that picture, but we're live, so I don't care if he runs over into the next play. Keep talking. I mean, I'm interested in what you're saying too. And they can still see it on the TV. So I've always felt that way, that we've been so strong broadcasting that way, because I don't cut anybody off, and what they have to say is pretty dang interesting, and I want everybody else to hear that too. But
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, it just works. I don't know that we ever, and I know Albert kind of touched on it, but the only reason that we're broadcasting together is because Albert picked me. Like it wasn't. I was doing I think Mr. Sanders had me doing a baseball game, and I knew nothing about baseball. I love baseball now, but I knew nothing about it at the time. And I just asked, Brett Alexander came and did a game with me, which really helped me. And then Albert, I said, Albert, will you come and broadcast a game with me? And I think that's how it went, right?
Yep.
And so he jumped in and he did a game with me. And I didn't think anything of it. I was just very thankful that somebody knew baseball helped me out. And I don't know how long it was after that, Albert called me and he goes, hey, do you want to do the radio? You want to broadcast on the radio? And I said, sure, I'd love to, if you want me to. It kind of surprised me because I hadn't really done a whole lot of it, but that's kind of how that. And our first game was in Kirtland. We did a Kirtland Broncos football game for Wally on the radio, and that was the start of it. But and of course, it wasn't easy the first few games or whatever. But ever since then, it just works. I don't necessarily know that. Albert gave me a little bit of coaching, and then after that, we just kind of took off.
Well, and I think it's important enough to say that that Wally gave us that opportunity for Stephen to cut his teeth into broadcasting. I'm being flat out honest. If it wasn't for Wally to allow for him to trust me enough to invite Stephen on to come in and start doing Aztec football with me, and give him the opportunity to cut his teeth in a pretty big setting, because at the time Aztec football was pretty big. And so a lot of people are tuning in and listening, and he's still learning. It'd be like me going to broadcast soccer. I mean, even though the girls, our daughters, all three of them play, or at least the two older played soccer, I probably couldn't broadcast again. I'd have to learn from him. It was the same way. And Wally gave us an opportunity to cut our teeth together. And that's why I say, I'm very grateful and I'm very thankful for Wally and the opportunities he gave us there and allowed us to cut our teeth together. And man, we just wish him all the best of luck in the world. And we're over here doing what we're doing. And I think it's so smooth. And I think the comments that we get from people really tell that story.
Too. Broadcasting is not easy. People, even these students that are coming in that you guys are interviewing, they come in thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be easy, until these cameras are in your face. You got a mic in your face and you freeze up. You don't know what to say. Yeah. So
really, when my opening statement is when you start seeing the panic on the
start
face.
Seeing a little bit of like,
and then they're taking the lid off their water and taking a drink after I told them, no, you're probably going to want that water for a little bit. Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm like, I'm just going to put it in front of you, because if you get sticky mouth and you start freaking out, take a drink. It's not a big deal.
Well, let's be real too. There's some sports that are a lot faster. So football, you guys usually don't have a lot of dead time, but baseball, you got to wait for the batter to be ready. You got to wait for the pitcher to, do his count and whatever ritual that he's got going on. So it's important to have somebody like Albert, for instance, that knows the game, can kind of explain it a little bit better.
100%.
So that you guys have comments back and forth.
I've been a student of the game for a while now.
He really has, but he caught on fast.
But that being said, Albert and I are good at talking, but 3 16-hour days, it gets a little tired of talking.
That was brutal.
How much did you guys not talk after those 3 days?
I think we both went home and just crashed, right?
Thank goodness Johnny Curry, I think on the second day, there was one of the students he put in charge of going to get the lineups for us. Because that's what we spent a lot of time on is you would think these high school coaches, they know we're there. They know that there's the PA system up top and that they need to get a lineup up there, but yet here we are chasing them down.
Tell them our schedule, Albert.
Yeah, and so we get 15 minutes after that game, and our faces are in the computer typing stuff up for the next game.
First it was run to the bathroom, run as fast as we could, back up the 4 flights of stairs, and start writing our book out. Maybe shovel a little bit of food in our mouth, and we're back on air again.
Well, and I do have to say this. I'm going way off the rails here, but I tip my hat to the fire people, our firefighters. Because having to work up some of those steps in the 4 flight of stairs that we did, and then they do the 911, 9/11 memorial out there, and then, of course, putting their life on the line the way they do and have to be in shape. I don't know how they did it. My legs were destroyed come, Saturday night, Sunday morning, and we had talked about that. Like, gosh, man, how brave and strong those guys and ladies have to be in that line of work, because it was brutal.
It terrorizes you. So, switching gears, Albert, what is your favorite sport and why?
Well, it's baseball. I mean, how can you not be romantically in love with baseball? I mean, it's just, we have such a rich history here in this Four Corners, and I get the goosebumps because, baseball, I've come to realize, actually, that this community is pretty special. Wrestling kind of reeled me into the community. And kind of made me open my eyes up, and you were a part of that. We were down on the floor with Ben, and my goodness, to watch and listen Bloomfield's fans just rooting for their guys at the state championships, and then Aztec doing the same. And Kirtland, Kirtland was rocking out there. You know, they had a young man make the finals. You know, I've fallen in love with all these sports around here because of the people and the community behind it, and just how much they love these sports. And yeah, we can all get a little nutty and get ridiculous at times, but that's what makes it so romantic, and just helps you fall in love with said sport. But baseball, yeah, I could do 5 games a week like that. That's 1 game a day, by the way. But 5 days a week
Not
for
5
sure.
days, 5 games
And I
in
love
1 day.
softball. I mean, Stephen and I fell in love with softball. That was so much fun. I wish, hopefully next year we can get some more people together on our team. And you know, Panther Vision does a fantastic job of helping us. As Stephen mentioned, those camera shots that they get on, they have a plethora. I mean, sometimes we have to say we don't even have enough work for as many students are ready to go to rock with Haley. Because she's done such an amazing job with
And
that
as a
thing.
matter of fact, like throw that out there, since you're talking about Panther Vision, Adrian is the one that did our Adrian work. He's a Panther Vision kid, and he's the one that's doing our thumbnails for us, like that thumbnail you saw on Facebook today, the Albert and Steven, you know, tonight at 7.
The graphics.
Yeah, the graphics, and he's doing a fantastic job. And Albert's right, like you know, he was talking about, I grew up a soccer guy. I played soccer my whole entire life. That was my sport. But
By the way, coached in 2 state championships for Aztec High School. I just want to throw that out there.
thank you.
That's why they call him coach.
That's right. That's why my grandkids call me coach. But no, I think doing this, I've learned to fall in love with all of them. Like you can't not enjoy all of them when you start doing this stuff. Even to, like, I know we don't go to golf, but we got to do that little golf live for John Laws over here in Aztec, and you just love being there and being a part of it, seeing the kids, they're excited, you know, and like you said, you go to wrestling, and there's a certain intensity and passion that you have there. You go to football games, and there's a crowd there that it's just every sport has its thing, you know. And you know, like baseball, we don't have huge fans at baseball, but you know what did happen when we put up a center field camera? People, they thought that was the greatest thing ever. You know what I mean?
That's like MLB style.
And that's where we heard.
It
we
absolutely
didn't
is.
hear a bunch of fans in the stands, but we heard it from a bunch of fans, like how much they loved that and how awesome that was. And then I found out you can go on YouTube and zoom it in even closer on the pitches. So
You put it up on your big screen
Yeah.
in your living room, and beautiful. It's like you're watching MLB.
And we love getting those pictures.
Yeah.
We like to challenge people.
until they
with
put
that
our
all the
face on
time.
the screen
Yeah.
and they send us
Oh,
pictures
Corey.
of that, Corey.
I love the Albert cam, by the way.
No. How about that's a hard no.
So that brings me to my next point. When you guys are getting compliments and comments from fans, from grandparents, from people pretty much all over the world, what does that mean to you guys?
Well, one of the biggest ones we got, and I don't want to put names out there.
Besides
'Cause-
Mama Parks.
Yeah, Mama Parks is always, she's one of our number 1 fans. But one of the biggest compliments we got, and I'll let Albert kind of summarize it, but it was a girl that wasn't sure that she wanted to go play softball in college, and her mom texted us. I'll let you tell.
Yeah, so one of the young ladies, we just fell in love with the way she played the game. And she wasn't the tallest girl or anything like that, but man, could she ball out. I mean, she showed up to the park every day and clocked in and never clocked out. She was that good.
What sport was it?
And softball. And so we get a text a couple of weeks later, probably at least. And let me tell you, this young lady, I mean, she was hot on fire. It was 3 for
fantastic.
3, 4 for 4, you know, 2 runs scored, big base knock to walk said team off or whatever. And her mom sent us a text message and said, you know, I want to thank you guys for talking about my daughter the way that you guys do. She didn't feel like she was, you know, ready or I can't remember the exact words that she
didn't think
used
she could
about
play college softball.
Yeah, that nobody was going to pick her up, and next thing you know, she gets a phone call, and off of watching one of our videos and listening to what we had to say, you know, her mom, not our words, her mother's words, was you gave her the confidence to believe in herself that she could go to the next level, and guess what? She went to the next level, and she is rocking over there. So that was pretty heartwarming for us to hear something like that, and We just got another one on Facebook. It's nothing that that somebody can't hop on there, but I think it was
During baseball?
yeah.
The tournament? Yeah.
And he had mentioned to us that just what an amazing job we're doing, and he where he coaches in Texas, he sees, or no, somewhere on the East Coast, I can't remember, but he said, they have multiple D1 players coming through their program, making it to the pros and all that. And he said, we don't have anything like what you guys are doing for those kids up in the Four Corners. And that's where we fall in love with what we do all over again, because it is for these kids. I mean, how can you not make any money doing a business? Probably put close to 60 to 70 grand of your own money into a business, not ever one time turn a profit for that, but you still show up for these kids and you still show up for these parents. And that's just been all of our goal, including you and including Amber and Rebecca, which is CR's wife, and Corey's wife, and their whole family. All of us have sacrificed so much to live a dream of what we're doing now.
And I'll piggyback off of that, because I remember the first time that me and Becca were actually broadcasting a volleyball game at Farmington High School. And one of the young ladies that was playing, her mother approached us and she's like, I have to thank you guys for all the positive things that you guys are saying about my daughter, not only on the air, but she's like, you guys have built her up so much. And she's like, she goes back and watches it, and knowing that her daughter felt some sort of way, positive way, about what we were broadcasting about her play, and she was a stud too, not to mention, but just that confidence that we were building in these young ladies also was extremely satisfying for us as broadcasters, because I completely understand why you guys do it and the heart that you guys put into it for these families, these communities.
We do. We hear that on a regular, like what you just said, we hear that on a regular basis. Those kids are listening.
Yeah.
And they hear what you say. Yeah. And it's important that you say, and I'm not saying that we would ever say anything bad, but it's important that they be encouraged that way, because sometimes they don't get a lot of encouragement. And I got stopped at the gym, and Dad was like, man, my daughter goes back and she watches, and she told me she listens to hear what you say so that she can work on what she needs to work on, and it's like, for us, I don't think, sometimes you don't think about that. Like, I really don't think about that when we're broadcasting. We're just having fun. And we're talking about, and we really do enjoy I'll tell you one thing, and I think I can speak for Albert on this. The one thing that we don't get to do enough of is interact with the players, because we don't have time, and because we're trying to get this done, and then when the game's over, we're trying to get that done. Like we don't get a lot of time to interact with the players. The hot mics are really cool. We've gotten to know some players through that, but I mean, it'd be pretty awesome. To get to know the player. We went to a softball game one time, and one of the girls was saying something to somebody right there next to me. I could hear her. I don't think she knew I could hear her. She's like, oh my gosh, I feel so important when Desert Sports Live shows up, that it's like we're a big deal, and that's exactly what we want them to feel like. You are a big deal, and we're here because we want you to know that you're important, and we want people to see you. Yeah.
So when you guys are being contacted by fans, who's the furthest fan that you've heard from?
Gosh, China.
We've had Japan, Saudi Arabia.
China. Australia. New Zealand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A lot of places. Germany.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they're family members, but hey, they're across the world, and they're tuning in.
Some of those were Yaffle kids too, like the Yaffle kids' grandparents and stuff. Yeah.
So do you guys have any superstitions that you guys have before games?
No.
Just the equipment work, please.
Please turn on, and please no cameras go down.
Sometimes I have to call Corey, so he tells me to plug the internet in.
That is true. Or I got to call CR to, how do I
unmute the mic.
zoom this camera in or whatever, yeah.
So you being a baseball fan, you don't have anything that you do beforehand?
If I was a coach or maybe one of the kids were playing or something, that's
Maybe.
different. But what we're doing, no.
I don't think we have time to think about that stuff, honestly.
So who is more competitive between the two of you?
I would say that's pretty even.
That's kind of a strange question. I don't think it's competitiveness to each other. I would say competitiveness to how do we put on a better broadcast than the last one we put on.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we're always pushing each other. You know, maybe there's common words, or, you know, I'm doing this or Steven's doing that on the air. Hey, let's clean this up. If hey, with the camera, make sure you look over here, or what. You know what? That's all it is. I mean, there's never any friction there.
We
So
give
you
each
guys-
other
you
our
guys don't
time, but
argue.
no.
I just well, and that's what it is. Steven and the boys take care of production. I stay the heck out of the way. Tell me where tell me where this cord needs to go, where do I need to tape it down.
Albert, wrap that up. Put that away.
Yeah, that's my role. And then when the mic turns on, that's when I come in, you know, and we work very well together that way. And I keep my distance from it. Just, what do you need me to do with all of this stuff while you're dialing that stuff?
I gotta bounce off of that, because I think we work extremely well together because we play different roles. And like he said, we're not competitive with one another. We're competitive we're competitive with everybody else out there that might be doing the same thing we're doing. What can we do to make ours a little bit better every time and get better and do these things better? And because we can go to a school, it doesn't matter where we go, Albert will walk in that school and come out with 5 new friends. And I never have to do that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I can focus on the production. Albert focuses on taking care of that side of it, and it just works.
It does work.
Like, we don't.
very well.
There's never been a time that we've argued about anything
not
that
once.
that I can think of.
So how do you guys meet in the middle on decision making?
Pretty much, Steven tells us what we need as far as equipment, and that's how we get it there. That's pretty simple. You know, when there's something to be spent as far as equipment, there's been times where I'm like, man, do we really need that right now? But knowing how much work that him and Corey and CR probably put into researching said thing, he's not going to put it forward. And in this business, nothing is cheap.
No.
I mean, you can't get nothing that we do for less than $1,000, it seems like. Every time something goes wrong or we need something new. But when that conversation is to be had, I know it's something that we need. I know that he's done the research on it. I trust him. All right, let's get it figured out.
Well, and it's even more than equipment, but even just like we kind of we'll just talk about it, and we come to a consensus. Like, are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? And we'll just discuss it and say, you know, like, if one of us is questioning it, we'll just reason it out, and we'll either decide yes or no. And like I said, I can't remember there's ever been a time that we've argued or been upset with each other. We just figure it out.
So off of that, what does your family life look like? How much time does your wife have to give up for?
Yeah, so
Why are you
start laughing.
That's not even fair, because you're right here.
I know Amberella is
Yeah, she's a trooper for sure. She allows me to do what I do, and she knows. And no, it was at workout today. She's like, yeah, just whatever. She was telling the lady, she's like, whatever he does, because all that stuff was sitting over here. She's like, whatever he does, he's all in. And she knows that. She knows, like, whenever I do something, I'm usually committed, like I'm all in. And she allows me to do it. You know, she will tell me, like Albert does, you need to slow down, because I just get so intense and so passionate, and I just lose sight of, I just got to get it done. I got to get it done. And I kind of going back a little bit, way back at the beginning when Albert was talking about how we had the little camera and stuff, and Albert cast the vision. He was like, I want to do this live streaming thing. And man, I had got 3 cameras. I bought our ATEM, and I kept telling him, I'm like, dude, this is awesome. I've got all these cameras set up. And I'll never forget the first time I set it up over in Bloomfield, Albert goes, oh my gosh, what is all this? And I said, I told you, I've been telling you. He was like, I didn't realize what you were telling me, but yeah, this is awesome. And so, but that's just how I am. Like, if I get into something, I'm usually going to be all in, and that's just.
How do you keep yourself centered when it comes to?
Well,
is it him telling you, hey, you need to take time off?
I have to say, because of my workout schedule, and that keeps me at bay, because it keeps me, I don't want to necessarily say tired, but it doesn't allow me to stretch because I get to a certain point, and like, I go to bed at 8 to 9 o'clock every night, and I get up at 3 and I go to work out and all that stuff, but it keeps me keeps me a little more on the level, because I can't, there's no way I can stay up till midnight and then try to, like, I have to make sure that I manage my situation, and I'm pretty much a creature of habit, and I'm pretty disciplined when it comes to how I do things. I eat the same things every day. I do the same things every day. Yeah,
Very predictable.
So I think that's what keeps me kind of level. There are times that I start pushing that limit. Amber usually lets me know whenever I'm pushing that limit. So, but yeah, I would have to say probably just my lifestyle keeps me with my working out. That's my one thing that helps release some of that, and then it keeps me calm, I guess.
Oh, you already
Besides
know.
the fact that your wife is staring at you.
Yeah. Say something
You know,
nice.
I think we're extremely blessed to have the rope to, to do what we do. And, there's a lot that goes into that. There's, if baseball and softball season are the absolute most brutal time for us out there, because we're so stretched with tournaments, trying to praying that we can find a way to get softball games in. We got people pulling us in 1,000 different directions. Please come do this. Okay, can you guys do that? We really do try to step up to the plate when people ask us about that. Just sometimes it just doesn't work. And then especially when you got games that are at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, who has a job? I mean, the percentage is probably below 3% of people can get off at 4 o'clock for a game in the middle of the week. We have to take time off of work, like literally vacation time off of work, just to get to that game. So you know more than anybody else the sacrifice that we put in, and the sacrifice that you give up, me not being home. I mean, yeah, you're watching it on TV and all of that jazz, but that's not the same as being at home. That's not the same as having dinner together or having a conversation, or by the time I get off a game, you're crashed out because you got to get up the next day. It's kind of the same thing with Steven and the rest of the guys in the family. So it's not easy. It looks like a lot of fun, and it is. It's a blast, and we're blessed, and God has taken care of us and provided for us. So many times we've hit the roof on frustration, just beyond frustration. And, we always lean into our Father, and He pulls us through every single time, never lets us down. And it's a lot of prayer over our family, because we are gone so very much to do what we do. So
Let me turn that down. I got some comments here.
Oh, need to turn the gain down. But, so I think that's where we're at when we do what we're doing here. So.
Yeah. Well, I know it's a lot of sacrifice from both of you, but thank you for what you guys are doing for this community. And I think that a lot of support and everything is behind you guys, because I think some people do see it, and what you guys are bringing to the community is special. So keep up the good work on there. I'm going to go to a very serious question before we start wrapping up. What are you guys most proud about? Actually, Albert, I'm going to ask you first. What are you most proud about with Steven and the boys, meaning CR, Corey, and even our boy G?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up G. G's been a huge instrumental part of the Desert Sports Life family. We wish we could get him around a lot more. For those of you, a lot of you already know who he is. He's a remarkable young man. He digs into church. He goes to Pinion Church, Hills Church. I'm sorry, excuse me. Hills Church. No offense to anybody who goes there. I didn't mean to offend anybody, but Hills Church, and he's very rooted into his youth group and things. He's just such a bright young man, and he cut his teeth with us. I mean, he was with all four of us and G, what we call him, Gennaro. And
he started when he was like 13?
14. Yeah. And
So
so we don't get him through baseball because he plays for Farmington High School, and but
He comes and
football,
sees us, though.
He does. And football, he's always around. But it's I take the and regardless of what anybody thinks of politics, I really don't care what people think about that. But I look at it as what Trump said a long time ago, and he was in an interview on TV, and they said, "Well, how are you so successful?" And he said, "I hire a lot of people that are smarter than me, and I step aside and let them do their job." not that I hired Steven or any of these, but when I brought Steven on board, the other two kind of were connected at the hip with Corey Kitchens and C.R. Bainter. And so, when that move was completely finally made, you bring in a whole lot of people that are a lot smarter than you are, and you get out of their way. And now we're here. And I think we're right on the cutting edge of what we do. I think that when you watch a production from us, and we had a great conversation, what I like to call the godfather of streaming, which is Johnny Curry, kind of giving us some information to work on and try to get things better, things that we're not noticing. Yeah, we get the comments of, wow, you guys said this on the air, or you said that. We get all that, that still happens. But, man, to bring a guy on board and Steven, the sacrifice that his wife allows him to make. That's right, boys. Our wives allow us to do this.
Yeah, they do.
And to dig in, I call him the mad scientist because he's always wrenching on something, and him and Corey and CR are always, well, what about this? Well, what do you think about, you heard him. You heard him geek out, and you see why I sit over here, because I don't understand a dadgum thing they're talking about. So you guys keep that over here. I said, but it's just a beautiful synergy, and I said it before and I'll say it again. We're not where we're at here without Steven and Corey and CR, and that's just a fact. We aren't sitting here.
Coming from the Velarde household, I know Corey and CR over there, and off camera we might need to get a Corey cam and a CR cam next time.
Yeah, I know you can turn that camera over there, Corey.
We know that they have that option. But, from the Velarde family to you guys and to your families too, thank you both. You guys are incredible men and leaders of your family, and thank you so much for the sacrifices that your wives are making as well to make this production work, because you guys are phenomenal people as well. So, Amber, thank you so much for all the sacrifice that you make on your end. Steven, you've been with Albert from pretty much day one on the whole broadcasting thing, so I want to thank you guys all for all the hard work that you guys put in. So
well, I kind of wanted to jump off of that too a little bit on Albert's thing, because he said it, like you surround yourself with people that are gonna do their thing and make you look good. And
I was about to hose them down right before this too, because they were geeking out and talking gibberish. So
me and Corey were over there trying to figure some stuff out, and it's cool. But I had to mention, when you said that, we brought in Elias and Leo and Ben to do wrestling. Yeah. I told Albert, I said, I will not do wrestling just because I do not want our quality of broadcasting. I didn't want the quality of what we do to go down, because those guys bring it to the level, and people love listening to them. Mm-hmm. We brought in Mark and Stu to do football over in Farmington.
Mark Strickland
and Stu. Yeah, and those guys did a fantastic job over there. And when you can bring in a community of people, and that's really it. It's a community that Albert and I have around us that have supported us and are willing. Ben and Leo and Elias, they didn't get paid for any of that.
No.
They just have a passion for wrestling, and they're like family to us, and they come in and they did that for us, and we love those guys for that. They're a part of this family as well, and the family continues to grow, and when we need something, there's usually somebody there that will step up and help us out, and we very much appreciate that. But I just had to say that because he said that you surround yourself with those people, and they make amazing things happen. Yeah, me and Corey and CR get to geek out and get all this equipment and make it look cool or whatever. But really, it makes it even. It takes it to another level.
We thought we were here. You bring Leo, Ben, and Elias on it, and it takes you way up there, and you're like, holy cow, that was a whole untapped market that we didn't even, and Steven and I were thinking, well, dude, what are we going to, they just kind of roll them around in a headlock or something. I don't know. We'll just try to figure this out, dude. And then insert Ben and those guys, and they took it on like a champ.
We were getting requests every week for them to come to a wrestling match.
Still now. We get the oh my gosh, what is Stout Wrestling, that type of stuff where they go down to, they ask us all the time to come down there now. Mark and Stewart, they rocked it out for Farmington and Pedro Vista football. They were those guys with Corey. Corey was our production manager over there. He ran all of that. Of course, when PV played, it was Haley and Panther Vision. And gosh, we came on board with them, and we didn't last very long with that because they caught on so fast. I mean, they're just such intelligent kids that they have over at PV, and Haley was on top of her game, and so was Chris. Chris is amazing.
I geek out with them too.
Yeah, he's such a good dude. You've met him.
Chris, he's
You've
a great
seen
guy.
you've
Yeah.
seen
Chris
what he
and Haley,
does,
yeah.
and Haley and those guys are just they're just so sharp and intelligent, and so we stepped aside so that they can go do what they needed to do their way, and they've done a phenomenal job with that. So I think Stephen did say it right. It's kind of us. I get what you're saying, pointed, but now when I sit back and realize it, it's more than just us. I mean, we've got Gamboa, Isaac Gamboa to thank. We've got Don Keenust, and we've got
David Sweet.
I mean, the list goes on and on. David Sweet, Corey, we've got Johnny Curry, Ben Tensei in Bloomfield. I mean, there's all sorts of people that just have surrounded yourselves. And then the market that we hadn't even talked about, which is down south. I mean, Albuquerque, it's wild when we go down there to see how many people know who we are, and what we're bringing there. So
Hospitality, even when you guys traveled to Carlsbad for that one baseball tournament.
Absolutely, yeah.
Carlsbad
such
great
was
people down there.
amazing. Like we have
Yeah.
never. It's like we're,
Yeah.
walking on water
You
over
know,
there, and it's
was
it's
a lot
just
of fun.
amazing.
It's funny because this year we had his name Steven, but he was the guy that cooked all the food out there. He actually found us on Facebook and he put a comment and he was
the
like,
barbecue guy?
yeah, and
I've heard about your
yeah.
barbecue.
Oh man, he makes these jalapeno popper thing, or jalapenos are delicious. Anyway, he found us and he's like, "Are you guys coming?" Like he was actually excited that and we didn't get to go this year, but yeah, it was really cool that he found us and requested that. But I don't know if this is, I don't want to get ahead of you. Is one of your questions about KOBF or no? Okay. I see Dalton Wimmer here asked if we were going to be at the Bloomfield game tomorrow, and I was going to kind of segue off of that unfortunately we will not be there. Tuesday afternoons is our KOBF sports segment that we do.
only on the Four Corners teams.
Yeah, and it's just all about the Four Corners. They came to us, and Albert, I shouldn't say, they came to Albert and asked if we could do the sports segment to cover these all the local teams and stuff like that. And it's now been moved to Saturday night at 6:30. You will see Albert and myself on KOB across the entire state. It's on their 6:30 news.
With our athletes.
Yeah, so
That's the important thing of it.
And I don't say this just because we touched on it. We don't get paid for that. Like we do that because we want these kids to get exposure. We want this rest of the state to see what's happening here in the Four Corners. And so on Tuesdays, that's another reason we can't do games on Tuesdays is because
hot mics.
Yeah, or hot mics because we've made a commitment. Like this week, we've got hot mic today, we've got KOBF tomorrow, we've got hot mic on Wednesday, and are we doing a game Saturday? I don't know. I know we talked about it today, but we try to do as much as we possibly can, and I hope that we wanted to do the Aztec tournament, but it was just too much. Like we had already taken off time 2 weekends in a row. We had spent 16-hour days for 3 days the weekend before, and I think I can probably speak for Albert. We were exhausted. Like it was fun, and we loved doing it. It was exhausting.
And it was a great last game too to close it out.
Yes, and we wanted to get to Aztec, but I personally couldn't pull it off with work. 3 weeks in a row of doing that, and so I hope that people give us grace. Whenever that stuff happens, because it's not that we don't want to, it's just that we most likely can't, and like today we were just trying to schedule out. I think we scheduled out 4 more games to finish the baseball and softball seasons, and we'll be at the Knot Hole game. We won't be doing the production, but we're going to get to work with Panther Vision. So Albert and I, it's cool for us. We just get to go broadcast. We just get to come in, put our headsets on.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
So thank you, Haley. Thank you, Haley.
Well, that leads me into my last question for you guys. Do you guys have any amazing future plans that you can share with us? And if so, what can we expect?
I let Albert announce all the future plans.
I don't know if you guys can tell us nothing or put it out there, but
I don't know if we put it out there, but we we do have some cool future plans.
Yeah, we
wanna put out there just
certainly
yet.
do. I mean, you know, our hot mics are picking up for sure. Those are typically on Wednesdays. We've got an amazing hot mic coming up. We got Reese Chapman, who's playing for the University of Tennessee, won a national championship last year. He's got roots here in Farmington. All of him and his two other brothers that played Connie Mack here for the Frackers. They're very well known, but he's a phenomenal young man, an amazing athlete. And so we're going to have him on Wednesday, and we are working on some really big things that we're going to be kicking off in August. I don't think we're at a place to announce that just yet. I thought about it for a second, but I was
Little
like,
touch
yeah,
of
I
it."
better slow down for just a minute. But we got some really amazing stuff coming up, and we were actually going to announce this news earlier, but we had some things not go our way with trying to get said announcement set up the way we wanted to. So we said, let's just kind of slow down for a second. Let's get our ducks in a row, and then we'll announce it properly. So
We want to we as Desert Sports Live, we want to bring you the best possible product that we can bring, and if we have to pump the brakes to do that, we will 100% do that, and that's kind of what we did. We feel like we're starting to get a handle on it, and we're moving forward with those plans, and we're excited about them, but we don't want to. I don't think we want to throw it out there just yet.
No.
Hey, I just have to say, I was looking at the comments, and you know, like I love this. Steven actually commented. Steven commented on here. So if you're still listening, Steven, it's good to see you comment. But you know, like Nancy Hawkinson, thank you. Everybody's just saying great things. Cammy O'Geen always, she's
Cammy.
always supports us as well. You know, Lauren's on here. Thank you, Lauren. And then
Actually,
there's
Nancy's
Steven.
my mom, so
Okay.
shout out to my
Yeah, there you go.
oh, Nancy.
yeah.
Nancy.
Yes.
Mama
Hawkinson.
Nance.
Mama Hawkinson,
Yep.
Lisa McLean, Sherry Sipe. I got to see Sherry the other night. It's good to see her. Leo. And then there's Dalton. He was asking me about the Bloomfield game. So I apologize, Dalton. We're not going to be there tomorrow. We would have loved to be
sorry
there, but
about
we
that.
can't make that happen. But no, we do have some cool stuff coming up in the future. I want to say that we've been working with David Sweet on some things that maybe we can possibly might not happen this year, but we're working on some things that we could possibly come up with, some cool ideas and stuff like that. David and Lauren have been fantastic. You know, Gambo has been fantastic. I know we're going to forget to mention people, but we've worked with a lot of Booster Club people that have been amazing. Farmington, when we went to the Scorpion Invite, and even PV, like everybody has been fantastic. Like just been super cool to us and really received us and accepted us. And when they don't necessarily have to, you know.
And
but
again, another big shout out to Renee over at Kitty Camp.
yeah,
She has been instrumental in our production from day one. So without her and her support, a lot of this wouldn't even exist today. So thank you so much to Kitty Camp. Man,
Yeah.
I
And
just
we've-
can't even tell her enough thank you. I don't think I've ever met her face to face, but
Yeah.
I've heard so many great things about her. So
and I just got to throw this out there too, you know, because we've talked about Renee, and then also April Yates has helped us. He's helped me out with a lot of little things as far as production is concerned. Is Alex Kennedy, and he has a business called AK Manufacturing, and he builds like metal. He can do 3D printing. He can do metal work. And he's helped me out a ton. Like I'll just call him, Alex, I need you to build me this. Can you make this for me? And he'll print it on his 3D printer, or he'll cut me something out of metal. So, you know, like our sponsors are very important to us, you know, and we don't have many, but we've been extremely blessed to have the ones, and instrumental in helping us. So we appreciate all of them, and all the, you know, all these comments that I see here, we appreciate. That's what I'm saying. We get a lot of love. Maybe some of it, not all it's deserved, but we are very thankful for it, and we love doing what we're doing. We're going to continue to do it, and hopefully this summer we'll get to do some cool stuff.
Got some
as
really cool
well.
things coming.
But yeah, at the beginning, you know, and we're going to be updating our website. While we're speaking about that, we will be updating our website. That's coming soon. All our content is now being pushed onto YouTube. Please, 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 and I'll just say it, like for us to make some money, if you can go to YouTube and subscribe, would really help us out. We need to get to 1,000 subscribers. and then we, if we can get up to 3,000 minutes a month of viewing time, that can help us to monetize, to help us bring in some money, and maybe even if it's not money, product, like where people will sponsor you with product.
Right.
So
Like microphones and headphones.
yes,
Well, and the announcement we'll be making will be directly tying into that. So it'll make a lot more sense of why Steven's bringing this up, about the YouTube situation.
but if you can go to @Desert Sports Live on YouTube, it's funny because when I first started looking at it, if I type in Desert Sports Live, it takes me to KOBF because we do all the stuff on KOBF. So you have to type in @Desert Sports Live and go find us on there. Please subscribe and tell people to subscribe. It's not necessarily that they have to watch anything we do, but if we can get that subscriber number up to that 1,000, that's really going to help us out. And by the way, thank you. We sent out invites for our new Facebook page, and we're almost to 1,000 followers already. And that's just over this last week. I sent all the invites out through Albert's page, and we very, very, very much appreciate that because we're trying to transition onto a business page. We're trying to make everything legit business, everything, and tie it all together. So thank you. If you haven't accepted your invite, please go and accept the invite and go subscribe. Go onto YouTube and subscribe. We would very much appreciate it.
All right, we're out of time. Albert, do you have any final closing comments that you'd like to say?
No, just, thank you to everybody here locally, Bloomfield, Aztec, Farmington, Pedro Vista, Kirtland, Shiprock. I mean, the teams down in Albuquerque, all the people that tune in, that send in their comments, just all of that stuff. The stories we get to hear about the kids going back and listening to our broadcast, that stuff means the world to us. So I want to just just a blanket thank you to everybody who's rocked out with us for the last 3 years.
Stephen?
Yeah, I can just kind of ditto that. We very much appreciate all of our followers, all of our listeners. We know that there's a lot of people in this community that support us, and we love doing what we're doing, and we want to continue to do what we're doing. And I'll just say it, if there's anybody out there that would like to be a sponsor for Desert Sports Live, we would happily accept, and we would appreciate it. But that being said, we're going to continue doing what we're doing, and we're going to continue moving forward, and we're just going to keep getting better at what we do. So thank you.
Absolutely. So on behalf of Desert Sports Live, thank you so much for tuning in today. We've got Stephen Parks and Albert Velarde, your men of Desert Sports Live. We appreciate everything you guys do for this community. And keep rocking out with Desert Sports Live on Facebook, YouTube, anywhere that you can find us. Come and say hello to the guys, anytime they're maybe not broadcasting, not during
Yes.
broadcast, but afterwards, don't be afraid to say hello and let them know how much you really appreciate it because they really do take it to heart. So thank you for rocking out with Desert Sports Live. Anything else?
We'll be back Wednesday.
All right.
Over our hot
Well,
mic.
Reese Chapman coming to you all this coming Wednesday night at 7 p.m. And then next week, we're going to be meeting up with the big guy with ABA Baseball. And that's Coach Campo next Wednesday as well. So he'll be on there with us. And then we're going to have Mike Magaha and his kids. And we're going to have some really special guests coming on that I think you guys are going to be pretty pumped up about in May. So we're getting those details worked out with their current teams, so on and so forth. And so stay tuned, guys. Thanks for rocking out with Desert Sports Live. God bless, and we're out.